Welcome to Pick Yourself Up. I'm Assegid Habtewold, your host. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Chandra Gary. She is the owner of Solutions by Chandra LLC. She's a life coach. She empowers women to transform their lives from chaotic and toxic environment to peaceful and orderly environment by supporting them, coaching them, inspiring them, challenging them. And today she's going to share with us her story and also how she do it and also some examples from the people she has been helping so far. Chandra, on behalf of our audience, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Dr. AZ. It's a privilege to be with you.
For the people who may not know you, would you mind to use 60 seconds to share with us the highlights of your life?
Okay.
Who you are?
Okay. My name is Chandra. I haven't talked about my company, Solutions by Chandra LLC. A little bit about my background. I'm a lifelong educator and learner. I have a master's in industrial organizational psychology, a bachelor's in organization management. But that's the credentials. But who am I? I am a woman of faith, a child of God. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a friend, I'm a confidant. And it may sound cliche, but I just like helping people.
Awesome. If you have to choose just one word that describes you the most, what that word would be, which means what's your highest value?
I would say a word that could describe, that I would use to describe myself as a solver. I help people solve problems. And that's just something people, since I was a little girl, people would always come to me with questions and how I could help them. And I used to say that I was a fixer. I like to fix problems. But when you're a solver, you're strategically working with someone or individual, helping them find a solution or way to solve their problem. So I like the word solver.
Why do you like it?
It's just, it's fun. I mean, I'm going to say it's a gift that if someone comes to me with an issue or a concern, I can take a moment and have clarity and logically and strategically kind of think through, analyze it, and help them together a solution. I've just something I've always done, and it comes easy to me. So that's how I know I believe that it's a gift from above.
I like what you said. I'm not a fixer, I'm a solver. So you're not just quickly fixing it.
I had to evolve from being a fixer, though. I was a fixer for many years. It's tiring.
Yeah, this reminds me a conversation I had with one of my colleagues in the past who is very proud to say, I am Google. Whatever challenge you have, I can Google it. I can provide solution. So in your case, I'm the solver. So it reminds me of my conversation with one of my friends. Yeah. I want to take you back to when this all started. We need to have that moment when you decided, you know what, my passion is empowering people to come out from toxic environment to pursue their dreams. Do you remember the trigger, the date or time when that happened, or the reason behind?
There were actually two triggers. One of them was not as bad, other was kind of a little bit more worse. Is I've always, before I started my own business, I worked in higher education where I worked in a career development area where people who looked like me were drawn to me because I was the only one that looked like me in my department. And they would come to me with, okay, I'm going to be getting this major. What do I do with it? And even before I was an administrator in the department, I was always kind of helping and doing that career coaching, just helping them along. So that's when I realized that was something that I was gifted in, because at one point I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I wanted to help other people. But as you go further in my journey, when it came to more like when to leave the toxic environment, I found myself in one where I was with a university, where there was a shift where there was some issues with my direct supervisor and some of the people in leadership, where it started affecting my health issues that were going on. I wanted to make sure that I was following all rules and protocol, but when it became to the point that I was getting nervous and anxious about going to work, and I was fearful, analyzing, what would happen tomorrow and dwelling on the past, it just wasn't healthy. And I knew it was time to leave when I would go to get massages, and my massage therapist was working on me, and she had to go get a heating pad just to make my muscles more pliable so that she can actually give me a massage. And I realized the heart is a muscle too. And this was actually affecting my health. I said, you know what, it's time to take the advice that I've given to all of my clients and customers, and it's time for me to leave. And that's when I made the decision, because you don't realize that you're in a toxic environment most times until you're out of it, or till something happens, usually health-wise, says, you know what, I need to make some changes.
It's so powerful. It's personal because you've been there, you know the impact. You help yourself come out from that. Now you're trying to empower and help other people do the same thing that you do. Let's talk about what makes working environments toxic, which means what are the symptoms that's going to tell someone that this is a toxic environment?
A lot. It's been in my experience, a lot of people, at least with me and people that I've worked with, they're more of kind of maybe say some physical things. For example, if when it's time to get up in the morning, you're nervous about going to work. Maybe say you start to, you don't really care about going in, so maybe you start maybe running late. If it's during the week, maybe say you may find out that maybe say you're eating more than you should. Maybe you're not eating. Maybe you're drinking alcohol, and not to cause any judgment, but maybe say you're doing drugs just to try to find some way to escape. So those are some triggers that, okay, something may be going on. Or maybe say your relationships are suffering, you're lashing out at loved ones, or maybe you're withdrawing from society. Even like right now, because of the world situation, people aren't going out as often, but even then you come home from work and maybe you stay in your room, you just don't want to socialize. Those are some triggers that something is going on that you need to check it out.
When you say that when you are thinking about going work, you feel like your heart rushes and you don't feel happy going there, it reminded me with statistics once I heard about how the majority of the people who experience heart attack, they do experience between 8 to 9 a.m. Monday morning. Trying to go to a job they hate, they resent, and the people they don't like. So which means if somebody is working in a toxic environment, it impacts their health, their relationships, like you said, and also they can't tap into their potential because they are preoccupied with this stuff. So they cannot give their best. They cannot go to the next level to become their better self.
It's like they're in survival mode. I just need to survive this day. And they try to say, if I can just make it through this day, just make it through the weekend. And so you're miserable 5 days. You have really one day off if you work Monday through Friday. Saturday, maybe you have some joy. About 4 o'clock on Sunday evening, it all starts, and it's a scary situation to be in, but most times people don't realize they're in it until either someone says, hey, you know what, maybe you need to check what's going on with you. They don't realize it. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
How do people know whether they are in a toxic environment indirectly? How could people just have that wake-up call to say, you know what, I'm in a wrong place?
If they are paying attention to their physical signs, or if maybe even let's just say something has happened at work where maybe say someone has actually lashed out at them, they'll be like, well, wait a minute, this isn't healthy, this isn't right. So, and it's been my experience too, that sometimes when we've worked, maybe say the situations may happen where it causes maybe it's time to go to the next level, or it's just time that we need to maybe do some other personal changes there. It's always, I would say you can always find some good in an ugly situation, but it's also been my experience too, is that sometimes people don't realize that it's time to try something different. They're just so stressed, they don't see it.
What do you think is the most common reason why an environment becomes toxic?
I'd say sometimes there's a change in values. Either your personal values have changed or the values of maybe say your organization where they don't line up. And I think that we shouldn't discount when we have like that little gut feeling or that intuition. Pay attention to that, because that's some triggers that maybe something is different. And we also, when we know everyone needs to have an income to be able to take care of themselves, but at what expense? Do you sacrifice your health or your relationships to go to a job that really is draining the life out of you? Where's your quality of life?
Once people recognize that they are in a toxic environment, what do you advise to them? I know it may not be that easy to just leave that environment. Do you have any advice? Have you helped people to make a smooth transition from that toxic environment to their dream place?
What I encourage When I talk with people, whether they're a client or not, I says, you know what, take some time and just get to a quiet space if you can. Get a pencil and paper, and then just start writing down, when was the last time you were happy? When was the last time that you actually had joy in your life? And just start writing and journaling and just getting some things out, because that can kind of help you realize, okay, you know what, is this really where I want to be? Is this where I need to be? And then to do like that self-discovery, that homework, because unless you can get to maybe say some of the root cause of what's causing you that discomfort and that pain, you will take that to the next job that you go to. So when I work with clients, work with individuals, I says, you know what, let's get to the root cause of what is causing this unhappiness, what is causing this angst. If there's little things that we can tweak along the way and correct that, that's fine. But if it needs to be more, then that's when you take the next step, because the mechanics of finding a job are, I'm not going to say they're simple, but there's a process. You apply for a job by either sending a resume, you go on an interview, you sell yourself, you get hired. So those mechanics, everyone goes through. But if you haven't done that self work and done some of that other research about what you want and where you see yourself going, you will take that same bad energy from that job and take it to the next. So of anyone, you got to dig deep first.
Now it gives sense why you are a solver than a fixer, because you don't want to quickly fix that problem, because somebody may go to another place, experience the same toxic environment. So they have to sit down to know who they are, what they love to do, and find a permanent solution, if possible, to go somewhere where they love to work and be happy. Actually, I remember one powerful quotation which says, don't work in a place where they tolerate you.
Yes.
Work in a place where you are appreciated. And that's, I think, the right place where you want them to go, I think.
You want to go where you're celebrated, where you're using your gifts and your talents and you're contributing to the organization, because yes, an employer hires you because they see you as someone that can help their business flourish, make money, be successful. But it also is, what can you gain from that experience as well? So it's a give and take. So when you think of yourself as a solution, okay, I'm going to go here, I'm going to work with this organization, I'm going to make them better, but also in turn, I'm going to become a better person as well.
So this is about self-regard, believing in yourself that you can really do great things, and believing in yourself and going out there, finding a place where you are appreciated. Let me ask you this. What is that most challenging reason why people are not living toxic environments?
It's something that I call the golden handcuffs. And it's where they maybe say they have great benefits, the salary's great, but they don't want to move anyplace else because there's fear of the unknown. And fear can be described as an acronym as false evidence appearing real. So you don't know what's out there until you take that step and try to just see, what's the worst that can happen? You apply for a job, maybe you get interviewed, then what? So it's always good things, but you don't make any movement if you're just sitting still.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, fear in every situation, fear is the one copying and preventing people to give their best. And there is no shortcut for it except to face our fear and move forward by taking risk. I really enjoyed our conversation. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back again. Dear our viewers, don't go away. Please stay tuned. We'll be back.
If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Mask up, America.
Welcome back. This is Pick Yourself Up. I'm Assegid Habtewold. Today I'm with my special guest. Her name is Chandra. We've been talking about her story and how she helps people to come out from toxic environment to peaceful and orderly environment. Question for you is about, can you give us one or two examples how people made the transition and what happened? What did you help them? And what are the outcomes because they worked with you?
Okay. I actually have two examples. One is with a single mother, a divorced mother, and others with a gentleman that I help. In the case of the divorced woman, She was a divorced mother of two children, working in a healthcare environment, doing IT work. And the divorce was, it was draining, but she financially needed this more. She needed more, and she was no working, doing the work that she should be doing. And her supervisor, the way she described to me, and I kind of saw the same thing, is that she would have her work longer hours and just make it very difficult for her, and it was very stressful. And so she reached out to me, and she explained the situation. I said, "Well, I think maybe you should look at something different." She goes, "But I need this job. I don't know if I can find money anyplace else." I says, "You are a degree person working in information technology, doing programming and data. You can find something." So we retooled her resume. I practiced her for some interview questions, and within about maybe about 6 weeks, she left that organization, healthcare organization, and started doing a remote job with a college, so she can actually be at home and be able to be there for her children and still do her IT work. So that's one example. A second example was a gentleman that I helped. He was a vice principal at a high school, and he had been at the school for a number of years, and the principal just having some issues with all the staff there. And his wife reached out to me and said, "Could you help him, because it's something he's not doing right. He's going out on interviews, but he's not getting any callbacks." And so as I met with him and talked with him, I noticed that whenever I would talk with him, he would always look down, he would look away. I said, "I think you might benefit from a mock interview." So I scheduled a mock interview where we did it via camera like this. I said, "Dress as though you're going for an interview. I'm going to ask you questions and critique your answers." And so as I started asking him questions, I just saw that his answers weren't strong. They were confident. They weren't confident. He was bringing in some of that negative energy that he was experiencing from work and bringing it to the interview. And so I would tell him how to answer the questions, and I let him actually see himself. So after I worked with him as far as his visual appearance and how he responded to questions, he started getting second interviews, third interviews, and now I can happily say he's been working for 3 years as a superintendent in another part of the state with a $40,000 increase. So
Wow,
yes, yes,
that's awesome, awesome, awesome.
yes.
So do you find some common causes of that kind of toxic environment? I'm just wondering, what are the common causes of that toxic environments? Do you know the root causes?
I think a lot of it is that either their personal values have changed, or the values of their organization has changed. An example of the person who was in education, he'd been a teacher working his way through for many, many years. And then at this one school, they changed the principal. Principal came in from another district. And it's just the person's values of how they maybe say ran the school, interacted with students, a lot of things they were putting in place. He wasn't the only one that was feeling some agitation. So I've noticed a lot of times it's the environment, or in the case of another person that I helped, it's just that they had actually outgrown where they were. I'm even going to say, even for myself, I believe that when I was at my last position, I had I had done everything I could there, and it was time for me to move on. So I think those are some of the two signs that that it's time to go, or time to explore something different.
When people try to move from a toxic environment to a peaceful environment where they could tap into their potential, what do you think is the most challenging reason for them not to do it? Or even if they do it, they will not be able to succeed?
I think it's the fear of the unknown, that, okay, I can stay where I am, even though it might be physically killing me emotionally and mentally, or I don't know if I want to try to do something different. It's almost what they call like the golden handcuff syndrome, where you don't like where you are, but you know that you definitely have a paycheck coming in, you have benefits, and that's like, okay, that's going to keep me handcuffed there. But if we learned anything from this past year in our lives with the pandemic, is that nothing is promised to you. So I encourage everyone, if you have that desire, work with someone, talk to a friend or a counselor or coach to say, you know what, let's explore these things, because you don't know unless you put your toe out there. So I believe fear of the unknown, that, okay, what if I go and I don't like it? What if I can't find anything? And sometimes those thoughts will get you that you get so paralyzed, you won't even make a step to try to apply for anything. So I think that fear is the biggest obstacle.
Fear is so powerful everywhere, and there is no shortcut for it except facing our fear and move on. One of the reasons why we have this show is to help our audience to pick themselves up and move on regardless of challenges and setbacks. But we always invite people like yourself who are successful to share with them what helped them to outlast setbacks. Would you mind to share with your experience how, when you experience setback or when you have a challenge so tough, what helps you to outgrow it and outlast it?
Well, what has helped me is I realize that, I've made mistakes even with my business and just in life in general, that while I have maybe had a setback, I am not that setback. That is not who I am. It's just something in my surroundings that happened that it affected me. But because I maybe say I've lost a job, that does not mean I'm a failure. That just means that I'm not going to be working there anymore. So just realizing that any mistakes or challenges, that does not identify who you are. You asked me in the beginning, who am I? And I said, I'm a child of God, I'm a daughter, I'm an entrepreneur. That's who I am. And as far as, just lost my train of thought, what I was going to say. About other ways that you kind of pull yourself up. I may be controversial when I say this, but I know a lot of people say that, okay, well, you don't have to worry about education or training. I would say definitely for people who might be, as you said, maybe say the underrepresented, the underdog, I encourage anyone I work with to make sure that whatever it is you want to do, that you have the credentials to do that successfully. I know some great people who are great makeup artists or cosmetologists. They can do hair, but they don't have the license to be able to do that. So whatever it is you want to go into, if you want to, be an educator, if you want to be a plumber, whatever it is, have those credentials on paper that say that, I am qualified to do this work. That's something that people can't deny and they can't take from you. So that's one thing.
So if I understand you correctly, there are two powerful perspective that you have when it comes to setbacks. One is you always differentiate yourself, your true self, from your mistakes, your failures. And another one is you always keep on growing, because if you keep on growing, learning, updating yourself, you always have the ability to outgrow your challenges and your setbacks.
And another thing too, just to add on to that, I talk to people, I said, look at yourself as a solution. You are here to solve someone's problems. If you are a dentist, you solve toothache problems or dental problems. If you are a seamstress, you solve problems for people who don't know how to put a hem or sew a button on. So when you put yourself in the mindset that I'm here, I am a solution to a problem, and then you find out where that person, where you can go if people need your services. So that always, if you get that mindset that I am valuable, I have importance, and I can go do what I need to do because I'm going to do something for someone, they're going to compensate me, that's going to help you pick yourself up.
This is really powerful. There is a saying, we meet the enemy and it's us, which means sometimes we are the one who's going to sabotage our success, and we may be the one unable to overcome the challenges. And also there is an African saying, if there is no enemy within, no, actually, it's not like that. There is no an enemy out if there is no an enemy inside, or something like that. I forgot the exact, but it's very powerful. Do you know that saying?
Yeah, I think I had a teacher that always that the enemy is in me. So you have to overcome that enemy that's inside you.
Definitely. Let's talk about how people could be able to reach out to you if they want to network with you, if they have any question or if they need any help. How do they find you?
Okay, you can find me I'm on actually a couple different ways. On Facebook, if you look for Solutions by Chandra, you can find me that way. I also have a website, which is solutionsbychandrallc.com. And the old-fashioned way, which you can call me. I will answer the phone if you leave a message. That number is 219-413-2629.
So before we finish and conclude, we have a couple of minutes, so I want to switch our conversation. Do you have any hobby or do you have any side job or side things that you do on top of helping people to come out from chaotic environment to peace and orderly environment?
Well, a couple fun things about me. I love purple. It's my favorite color. The artist Prince is my favorite musician. I love cupcakes. And also I believe in even though anytime someone's work, I say you should always have an extra stream of income. I actually help other coaches by doing their automation as far as maybe say building what they call a landing page for them and helping them automate their services. So I do that for fun.
How can you give us a little bit tip on that? How to automate? There may be some business people watching. Can you give us a quick tip on how to automate?
Okay, a quick tip, even just how to be sustainable, is make sure that you own your list. A lot of people will check, I'm going to run a business. They run it on Facebook or they run it on Instagram. That is not something that you own. Someone else owns that. So purchase your own domain name. You know, you go to GoDaddy or places like that. It's very inexpensive. Have your website own it. And then as you interact with people, you know, a long time ago, we would collect business cards. Now today it's collect email addresses, because that is the way that you can stay in contact with people that you like to work with, and you own that information.
There are any technologies that you suggest or platforms?
I suggest there's one that is inexpensive. It's free. It's actually called MailChimp that you can use to collect information. Another is MailerLite. All those are free that you can start off with. And I say anyone that's going to start a business, if you don't have a lot of capital to invest, look at solutions that don't cost a lot, and you can, as you grow, then you can expand and do more. That was a mistake that I made when I started. I think, oh, I have to get the most expensive and big and start. No, that's not necessarily the case. Start where you are and grow from there.
Thank you, Chandra. On behalf of our audience, we had a wonderful time. I believe that our audience got a lot of things out of this conversation. Dear our viewers, I look forward to see you with another interview. But if you have any question, if you have any suggestion, don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and also send me your suggestions via email. You can find my email at the bottom. Let's keep in touch. Until I see you next time with another interview. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great time.